In the quiet town of York, England, lies an ancient inn known as the Golden Fleece, rumored to be one of the most haunted places in the country. With a history dating back to the 1500s, it has seen centuries of guests pass through its creaky doors, but some never truly left. One cold autumn night, a young woman named Claire checked into room 4, unaware of the inn's dark past. She had come to York for a weekend getaway, but by the end of her first night, she wished she had never stepped foot in that place. From the moment she entered the room, something felt off. The air was unusually cold, the kind of chill that sinks deep into your bones. The dim lighting flickered as if the electricity itself was uncertain. But Claire brushed it off, thinking it was just an old building showing its age. As she unpacked, she noticed an antique rocking chair in the corner. It seemed oddly placed, facing away from the room toward the window. Unnerved but determined to enjoy her weekend, Claire ignored the chair and prepared for bed. Later that night, just as she was drifting off, she heard a soft creaking. Slowly, she opened her eyes and glanced toward the corner. The rocking chair was moving, gently swaying back and forth. At first, she thought it might be the wind, but the window was firmly shut. Her heart pounded as she stared at the chair. Was someone or something sitting in it? Suddenly, the chair stopped rocking. Claire's blood ran cold. The room fell eerily silent, but that silence was soon broken by a faint whisper. A voice so soft it was barely audible. "Get out!" it breathed. Frozen in place, Claire's mind raced. Was she dreaming? The voice came again, a little louder this time. "Get out!" it hissed as if warning her. Desperate to convince herself it was all in her head, she buried her face in the pillow, willing herself to sleep. Hours passed. She finally fell into an uneasy slumber, but her sleep was shattered by the sensation of icy fingers brushing against her arm. Gasping, she bolted upright. The room was dark, but she wasn't alone. In the faint light, Claire saw the silhouette of a woman standing by the rocking chair, staring straight at her. The woman's eyes were hollow, her face pale and twisted with sorrow. She wore a long, tattered dress that looked as though it belonged to another time. Claire wanted to scream, but her throat tightened, paralyzed with fear. The figure moved closer, gliding silently across the floor. "He did this to me," the ghostly woman whispered, her voice echoing with despair. "He's still here." Terrified, Claire grabbed her phone and stumbled out of bed, racing for the door. As she reached for the handle, she felt a cold hand on her shoulder. She turned. Nothing. No one was there. But in the reflection of the mirror across the room, the ghostly woman stood, her mouth open in a silent scream. Claire fled the inn that night, leaving her belongings behind. The staff found her trembling outside, insisting she had seen something they couldn't explain. When they checked the room, the rocking chair had been turned, now facing the bed, as if something had watched her sleep. Later, Claire learned the inn's dark history. Decades ago, a woman named Elizabeth had lived at the Golden Fleece with her abusive husband. One night, he had murdered her in room 4, pushing her out of the window. Since then, many guests had reported seeing her spirit wandering the inn, trapped, unable to escape the place of her death. Claire was one of the few who had seen her up close, and to this day, she swears that Elizabeth's ghost is still there, watching, waiting, warning anyone who stays in that cursed room.